macro tracking. Still, like, the whole preface of this entire year is to build like a healthier us, right? So just breaking down the barriers of changing our lifestyle to promote a healthier lifestyle. So that is still the entire preface of our entire year of workshops. So macro tracking, we are going to be going over like intuitive macros. Do I just click this and it changes? Yes. I'm not going to go over this whole thing because I did this last time, but if you don't know who I am, hi, I'm Courtney, okay? All my certifications, if you need to know. Again, I have 7 years of experience in terms of nutrition coaching and coaching in person, online, all of that stuff. I personally did not start with macro tracking. Around my wedding is when I really got into macro tracking and like what that was, because it was a literal foreign concept. So for how many years is that I had been training already? It was like 4 or 5 years almost, maybe like 4. I had been on my weight loss journey and everything, and like I lost a lot of weight, but I also lost a ton of muscle. Like, you know how people get skinny fat where it's like you just kind of look all droopy? That's what happened. No! That's what happened when I was in the process of losing weight, but what the heck happened? Where did it go? This is so sad. Okay, well, I'm gonna keep talking. So that's what happened when I was, trying to lose 50 pounds before my wedding, and I did not know what a protein was, to be honest. Like, I knew because I was nutrition certified, like, you need to eat meat, you need to eat vegetables and all that stuff, but there was no like, hey, you need to have this much of this much of this to make like a balanced diet. I'm gonna just, where's my mouse? There it is. Let's go like this. Who wants to be in charge of just like moving this mouse around so it doesn't do that? Can you want to scoot your thing closer? Do you want to scoot your thing closer and just like move this mouse around every once in a while? Okay. Here, push you. There we are. Okay. So, anyway, I started doing macros. Let's see, how many years has that been? 5 years. But then I got pregnant, so I didn't do them for a really long time. So honestly, this has been my first training with my coach. This is my first like go at being more strict in tracking macros. Okay, go ahead. Like just press it. Go there. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So, quick review. Macronutrients. Macros is short for macronutrients, right? We went over this last time, so it's literally just a quick refresher. Macronutrients determine the amount of calories in each food. So calories are king, always. Calories are king. Macronutrients are just a subcategory of calories, right? That's just how the calories are broken down into the 3 categories. Of course, you have micronutrients and all that. So we have protein, carbs, and fats. Okay? Does anybody need a refresher on what proteins, carbs, and fats are? No? Oh, what?
Press it.
You're okay, Kim.
She really wanted to let you know she thanks you.
I swear that I have more than that. Thank you so much. Okay, so I've forgotten that.
I'm afraid to touch it now.
That's okay, I'll walk back and forth. Just like swivel it around every once in a while. So we went over what carbs, fats, and proteins were in the last one, right? But what we didn't go over is the forgotten macros. This is what I call them anyway. This is not a real term. These are the forgotten macros. These are the things that people don't think about that honestly I think are more important than actual macros. Fiber, okay? Fiber is a dietary supplement, or like a part of your diet, right? that is resistant to digestive enzymes, so that's how our body gets the crap out, right? It's how the waste moves out of our body is with fiber. So it helps to maintain digestive health so nutrients can be absorbed into the body properly. So if you are not excreting your waste, your body is not able to properly absorb the nutrients it needs. It also can cause a lot of health issues like cancer and other things, okay? So we need fiber to move protein out of our body. I think this past year, a lot of people really honed in on getting more protein, but what you often forget is with more protein, you need to eat more fiber. The recommended allotment, I think I said this last time, is 20 to 30 grams of fiber every single day. Okay, for men, it's a little bit more than 30, but the vast majority, if you're eating around 25 to 30 grams of protein, you're pretty good, okay? So that means you should be going through, what, once a day? And it should also be like of a normal consistency. Yes? All right. Also, if you're having a lot of gas, that's usually a sign that something is in digestive distress. So if you're eating, let's say, a lot of protein supplements like protein powders and you have a lot of gas, that is not good. Okay? So I'm just gonna say that. You should not be like bubbly and bloated all day long. Probably stop drinking that, okay? Maybe choose, if you might be allergic to like, not allergic, but like, what is the word I'm looking for? You may not be able to handle whey protein and you may need to go with something else like a plant protein of some kind, okay? Or all right? Alcohol. Oh, mercy. There is no benefit to alcohol. I'm just gonna say that. I don't hate alcohol. I don't personally drink anymore, but alcohol is unfortunately not free. Okay? It is not water. Even if it says 0, like those little Tito's or whatever, or like the, what is it called? This is how I don't drink anymore. Yes, the White Claw that are 0 calorie or 100 calorie, not free, but it has like 0 carbs on it. No. They have carbs. I'll go into this later, but the FDA can have a 20% margin of error in their labels, so they don't have to tell you that there are 20 carbs in there. They can tell you the calories, and they can also put 0 carbs. So when you are calculating your alcohol, because if you are drinking, you need to track it, okay? It needs to be a part of everything that you are tracking in terms of what you're consuming. This is the little like cheat sheet. You have your total calories, so let's say it's 100, and you divide it. You can either put it toward your carbs, or you can put it towards your fats. So if you want to, let's say you have a lot more carbs that day, you can take the 100 calories divided by 4. It's going to give you the amount of carbs that is in that beverage. Same thing with fats. Fats are a little bit more calories, so it would be 100 calories divided by 9, right? Does that make sense? So if you are going to drink and you are tracking, then you're going to have to calculate it manually, most likely. Okay? Yes, question.
I was just curious, who decided 4 and who decided 9? Like, is that just always been?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. That's a good question.
Okay.
Yeah, science. Whoever. I know you did it. I know you did.
I just did, and then
It's really testing me today, I think, is what's happening.
I didn't know.
No, you're, I honestly don't know that answer.
But no matter what it is, if it's alcohol or anything else,
Yes.
okay, it should always.
The protein is 4 calories, carbs is 4 calories, fats are 9 calories. Okay?
Yeah.
So yeah, if you guys don't know that, you can write that down, because we will go over that later with the food labels.
Gonna be on the test.
There is no test, we all pass. So alcohol does have a caloric value. I will always say alcohol is not the best, but you know, if it is a priority for you to incorporate into your lifestyle and you love it, don't cut it out. find a way to incorporate it into your life, okay? So yes, this all makes sense. Hydration is the last one. Your body is made up of 60% water, so in order for it to work like the well-oiled machine, it is, we need to put oil in it, aka water, okay? Our kidneys function that way, everything functions that way, we need water. So a literal bottle of water like this is not enough. Remember we talked about it, where we should be at least having enough water to make our urine clear, yes? So if you're not drinking 50 ounces of water, start there. You don't have to necessarily drink a gallon of water, but you need to have enough that your urine is clear. So, why do we even want to track? Because literally tracking macros is like a freaking second job, and nobody wants that. So, there are a lot of reasons why we should track macros, but one thing I will preface is that you do not have to track macros for the rest of your life, okay? It's not meant to be that way. It's meant to be a tool to teach you how should I be eating to feel, and if looks is something that's important to you, feel and look the way I want to. So if I eat this way, then I will feel and look this way, yes? Of course, I'm gonna stress the feel part, because that is most important. The looks aren't always what is most important, but I know that a lot of us want to look differently than what we do currently. So the number one goal of macro tracking is to build self-trust. Let's say if I said, I want you to jump off a bridge, and there's like absolutely no bungee cord or anything, like, do you trust yourself to do that? And like there's no safety net at all, right? But if I said, all right, I want you to jump off the bridge, I have one of those like circus nets, and you have a bungee cord, and I'm a person, like I'm a certified bungee jumper, and I'm going with you, do you feel like you would trust me a little bit more to jump off the bridge, right? We still might be scared, but there's a little bit more comfort in knowing that I shouldn't die, hopefully. You know what I mean? So macro tracking is kind of like that safety net. It's like, okay, well, Courtney says if I do A is going to equal B if I follow what she says, right? For the most part. I'm just gonna click this. I don't know if like the moving is gonna work. So this is going to help us build self-trust, in theory. I think you have to also do a lot of other things. You can't just follow numbers and like build self-trust that way. You have to ask yourself questions and be more in tune with what you're doing to actually build self-trust. So numbers are not going to build you self-trust. I think they get you somewhat in that direction, but that's not what's going to solely help you build your trust in what you're eating, right? And being able to make decisions. Building awareness as to what you are eating, what your food is made up of, how it's made up of, right? For a long time, I didn't know Greek yogurt had protein in it. Actually, I probably did, but like, I never looked at that nutrition label. But when you start macro tracking, you start seeing, oh, this has more protein than maybe this has higher carbs, so this is a good carb source, like peanut butter. Is peanut butter a protein source? Anyone?
Sure.
No, it's not. Peanut butter has protein in it. It is a good fat source. It has more fat than it does protein. So it is a good source of fats. It has protein in it, so you are right to some extent. There is protein in it, but you are going to get more fat from protein or from peanut butter than you are protein. Okay, so those are the things that we're trying to build in terms of awareness in like what are like if I'm trying to get more protein in my diet, maybe I eat a little less peanut butter and I eat a little bit more of your favorite meat, or maybe I eat chickpeas because they have protein and more carbs and less fats, because if you think about your pocketbook, right, you have more protein, you have more carbs, and you have less fats in your pocketbook in terms of spending money. So I think of macros as spending money. So I don't want to spend all of my money on my fats in my first meal. I want to probably put more of my money towards that meal out of these two and then less out of that one. So we can spread out. Does that make sense? So, building awareness. We track in the beginning so we don't have to track as much going forward. It's okay if you want to track forever. I don't. But if it makes you feel safe, then that's fine. Okay? The goal is to build self-trust though. Okay? So it's fine if that's what you want to do, but you don't have to. We're just going to do this. But now there's some signal.
Is tracking your macros kind of an all or nothing thing where you should stay diligent to it, or you should just, I mean, if you don't want to do it, just don't do it? Or
No.
is there like a halfway point that you can just kind of half-ass it?
I mean, I don't
Like, I just don't feel like doing it today, and that's fine.
I don't know about the, like, I don't know about like the half-assing portion. I think there should always be intention, you know? Like, you don't want to, and I fall into this a lot as well. Like, I just don't feel like it today. I don't want to do that. But I didn't intentionally choose that. I just let my emotions like kind of guide that and be like, yeah, I don't feel like doing that because I just don't feel like it, right? Whereas if I was saying, hey, I am tracking this day, this day, this day, but I already know I am going to be busy this day. I'm going to be out with friends, and I don't feel like doing that. I'm going to intentionally choose not to do that, but I'm going to make other choices to help benefit me in that scenario. So even if I'm not going to track it, I'm still going to make a conscious effort to eat similarly to what I would do if I was. Does that make sense? So there's always intention, but no, you don't have to always track. You do not have to always track. And there are ways, which I'll talk about when we go more into like the intuitive macros, that like it's a spectrum. So you have full tracking on this side, and you have no tracking on this side. So you could go and you could be like, well, I'm just gonna track calories. So I'm not tracking, I just track calories, okay? And I'm just counting calories. I'm not logging it, I'm not doing anything. Then I could maybe do calories and protein. And then maybe I do calories, protein, and carbs, or protein and fat, or calories and fiber. And then maybe I take a step further and I just do macros, and I maybe don't necessarily look at the calories too closely, but they're there, okay? And then you kind of have full tracking where we're looking at all the numbers, okay? And I think there are times in our life when, like, I go from tracking to maybe doing only calories, or maybe nothing at all, or maybe calories and protein. Like, you can do that within one phase. You can move it around depending on your mental health, your life, you know, how consistent have you been? If you're not being consistent with full tracking, then maybe that's not the best choice for you right at that time. Okay? Because remember what we talked about last time with the big boulders, if we're not being consistent on this end, then it's not going to work in general. Okay? So where did I leave off? The goal is to build self-trust. Finding the gray area and leaving the all or nothing behind. That is what we're doing. You have to stop trying to pigeonhole and be like, yeah, I can only do it this way. This is the only way it's going to work. All right? I have to do it all, or it's just not going to work for me. That's false. Way false. Okay? So what are goals and value? What are your goals and values? So this will kind of decide where you should fall on the spectrum of macro tracking. So are you purely aesthetic based? So this is how you look. And that's okay. No shade. No shade here. No shame if I've been there, and honestly that got me real far because it was my only focus. I did not care about anything else, and I did that. Okay, and only that. And I don't think there's any shame in people choosing to change their body because they want to look better. I don't believe in that. Health. Is it for a health reason? Maybe you want to lower your A1C. Maybe you want to just feel overall better internally. Is it performance? Is it mental freedom? Do you feel like you're constantly in gymnastics trying to figure out what to eat and what not to eat? Yeah? Each one of these have a different approach, and you can always toggle between them. So there was somebody that I coached for a while that wanted this, this, and this, and this, all at one time. But when she was tracking, fully tracking, she felt exhausted mentally. So we had to be like, okay, well maybe we need to focus on this for now instead of your aesthetics. Well, but you also want to do a CrossFit, competition. Well, maybe we don't need to do aesthetics right now. Maybe we need to work more on performance, right? So that means we need to eat more than eating less to get aesthetics. So you have, even if all of these are your goal, you can't work on all the goals at one time. You have to separate. You have the rest of your life to do this. It is not, oh, the time is now. I can only make the change right now. All right, you have the rest of your life to do all of this stuff. So pick what's most important and work on that. For the last 3 years, being more mentally aware of what I was eating was my only goal. I, of course, was uncomfortable being 80 pounds overweight, but that was not going to suit me best to work on losing body weight if I wasn't mentally there, right? Some require a stricter approach, like aesthetics usually is. Some can be a little bit more intuitive, like mental freedom and maybe even performance, okay? Changing the approach, or, so if let's say you're doing this, but you want to be intuitively eating macros, right? We don't want to track, we don't want to do anything, but I want to change the way I look here. Maybe and it's not working, that's the other key. If it's not working, then we either need to change the approach or we need to change the goal. Make sense? Okay, so what are you willing to do? If you're not willing to track all the way, again, let's revisit that last question. We need to either change the approach or change the goal. And there's no shame in either one of those things. Good? If you're not seeing results, let's manage your expectations or adjust your place on the spectrum. Any questions on that stuff? That was a lot. Okay. Oh, we still have more. So, why practice intuitive macros? This is a little bit more with your question, Chris. Intuitive eating, there is a lot of overlap into macros. So I don't think it's not intuitive macros and macro tracking. I think they overlap, but I think people just get confused as like macro tracking is very restrictive and I can't have any freedom whatsoever. And then intuitive macros is all the freedom in the world and I don't know what to do. They do overlap. I think you just have to find the overlap. So we want to reject the diet mentality. Macro tracking is also that. We want to reject the diet mentality. I know being told like peanut butter is not a fat or is not a protein source, it is a fat source, may feel like, well, then I can't eat peanut butter. False. You're just more aware of the fact that it has more fat in it than it does protein, correct? I never said you couldn't eat it, but we often go to like, well, fat is bad, I can't have it. If we revisit the last presentation, then we were told there was no bad foods, right? It still applies. So, reject the diet mentality. We're not on a diet, we're just changing our diet. We're changing the way we eat. That is called our diet. Honoring hunger and fullness cues. So you really lean into this during intuitive macros because you have no numbers. So you really need to be in tune with, am I actually hungry? Yes or no? Have I reached a fullness? Yes or no? I know when you were tracking, that was really hard because for her numbers and her body, they didn't really like match. So she was eating way past fullness to hit some numbers versus stopping when she was actually full. So some people can have trouble with that when doing actual macro tracking. And in that case, I would say lower your numbers, bring things down to match your fullness and your hunger cues, and then we can work up from there if we need to, okay? Numbers, even though scientifically they're correct, are not always correct. Our bodies are smarter than science. Our bodies are the highest form of technology there ever and will be, okay? Just, if you took anything from this, that was the mic drop right there. Highest form of technology is our body, okay? Make peace with food. Incorporate the bad foods. I eat ice cream on a regular basis. I eat fast food on a regular basis because to me, growing up, I thought it was bad. It was terrible for me. It was just making me fat, and I need to make peace with that. Okay? Sometimes there's a lot of crying, you know what I mean? There is some emotional pull when it comes to food. There is. As much as people may not want to think that, there is a lot of emotion behind food. So make peace with the foods that you've always said you can't have. Incorporate them if you love them. If you don't, then don't do that. Don't do that to yourself, okay? Challenge the food police. Oh my gosh, I love this one. So I go to a lot of family functions, and there's a lot of food police there, even given my job. One time I was eating a baked potato, a white potato, and they were like, oh, that's terrible for you. You should be eating a sweet potato, Brittany. I was like, absolutely fucking not. I want the dang white potato. What are you talking about? This is great. First of all, white potatoes are one of the most satiating foods out there. You need to feel full, eat a baked potato, a regular one, okay? Yes, sweet potatoes might have a little bit more fiber in there, but if you eat the skin of the white potato, you're getting a good amount of fiber also. A carb is a carb is a carb. So challenge the people that tell you in your life you can or can't eat something. Tell them why. Maybe you like it, maybe you enjoy it. Maybe give them some nutrition facts on why it's the same as that other potato that you're trying to offer me and I don't want to eat it. You know, I can't load a sweet potato the same as a baked potato. Ugh. You know what I mean?
More potassium than a banana.
Yes, exactly, exactly. Discover satisfaction. Discover what you actually like to eat. You know what I mean? Don't be just checking boxes. Don't eat kale and a piece of nasty chicken because you gotta hit some boxes. Eat what you like, right? Respect your body. Rewarding movement. I'm unsure of how I worded that. I don't really love that. Movement never earns food. But I think thinking of movement as something rewarding for your body is very important. So I don't love how I worded that, but I think I was just like trying to go quickly. So movement is a reward for your body, right? It's not a earning of food, okay? Honoring your health. So a lot of these things is what you're practicing when you're practicing intuitive macros. You have to be doing this work. It's not just mindless, like I'm just eating a bunch of stuff and going about my life. We are really trying to practice a lot of these things when we're trying to be more intuitive with our body. Most people think it's appealing to start with intuitive eating because it gives them permission to eat foods that are off limits. So people will say, oh, I'm eating intuitively, and really they're just eating a bunch of junk, so they don't really have to, like they're giving themselves the permission to eat however they want, so they don't have to answer to what is happening after that, right? Like the result of maybe just eating out 6 times a week and wondering why they've gained 10, 15, 20 pounds in a month and they feel awful, right? They're like, well, I've been intuitively eating. No, again, we haven't done any of this. That's not intuitively eating, okay? That's just a pass to be an asshole to your body, okay? Sorry if you don't like cuss words. I do cuss a lot. But many will find that they are not feeling the way that they want to because they don't have the boundaries. Boundaries are not bad. That right there, macros are boundaries, okay? That's why people don't like them, because I've put boundaries on how much carbs you eat, protein you eat, and such. Okay, so intuitive macros are like graduating with your PhD. So I feel like a lot of people need to be somewhere on the spectrum of macros to build knowledge and self-trust to be a PhD in nutrition for your body. Again, yeah? So we are earning a PhD of nutrition for our personal body. Only Andrea knows Andrea. I don't know Andrea. Okay? I don't know her body. So if you ever work with somebody, a coach, you are the expert. You are the only one that knows who you are. I am just a helper. Okay? Yes? Again, another mic drop. Don't start here. Don't start at intuitive macros. Is my biggest piece of advice. Okay? Try to learn a little bit more about your nutrition with some science. and then it doesn't matter how long that phase is, and then move into intuitive macros, okay? I would disagree that most of us are not born with being intuitive. If you put a cupcake and a carrot in front of me, which one am I gonna choose? Let's say I've eaten 12 cupcakes already, you put another cupcake and a carrot. Most people are probably gonna still choose a cupcake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yay! Alright, so,
It's vanilla.
especially not with the current food system. I mean, look at all the fast food we have. Most of us are not intuitive. We might every once in a while be like, yeah, I really want a salad. But that's usually after years and years of practice. Okay? When hyperpalatable, I basically said that literally just now. When hyperpalatable foods, this is like cupcakes, fast food, things like that. That's what we call them instead of junk food. Hyperpalatable foods. Start referring to them that way. Okay? Give them the actual name instead of junk food, bad food, da 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 da. We're gonna change the context of those said foods. Our second stomach does also appear. So ice cream, when you're full and they're like, you want dessert? Usually most people say no, but if you put a bowl of ice cream in front of me, I'm probably gonna eat it. Yeah? Okay, I just said that. Intuitive eating, macro tracking can coexist with the right approach, and then I talked about the spectrum, okay? There's a mouse. Where'd you go? I just saw it. I just like, oh, there we go. I was like, where are you at? Biggest lessons we can learn from macro tracking: allowance with clear boundaries, not necessarily restraint. Again, don't love that word. Allowance within clear boundaries. Okay, boundaries. Yes. If I say you're eating 135 grams of protein, we want to try to be within that boundary, somewhere around there. Okay. Don't run too far away. Don't stay back here at your starting line. Good. You want to be around that target. Allows us to eat everything, again, within that boundary. It gives us biofeedback. If I'm eating these numbers, but I'm still not seeing what I want, well, okay, so we see what's not working, we can adjust. With intuitive macros, it's a little bit harder. You don't have any biofeedback. You don't have any science whatsoever, no data, no nothing to go off of, except you and your subjection, right? Is that like your opinion? Is that what I said? Yes, okay. Your subjection. And we a lot of times lie to ourselves. Sorry, okay? If you ask me, okay, how many times do you eat out? A lot of people will be like, oh, only like a couple times. And really it can be like 4 or 5 times. That's a couple. Okay? So it takes out that subjection. If I eat these numbers and this happens, concrete data and ability to adjust. What are the biggest lessons we can learn from intuitive eating? Individual desires and preferences, aka freedom, food freedom, satisfaction, cravings, food joy, ability to handle emotions outside of food. That's a big one. That's a big one. Okay? Again, like I said, food is emotional. Hunger and fullness levels, mind hunger versus body hunger. Again, that kind of goes back to the cravings, emotional eating. Like, is your mind hungry? Like, are you just thinking you're hungry? Or like, is your body actually hungry? Like, my body is hungry because I dumped that oatmeal and I haven't eaten it. Deliberate choice and ownership. Ugh. Ah! You need to deliberately choose to eat what you eat and make the decisions you make. You cannot just be like, I don't know, maybe. Sure, I don't know what I'm gonna eat when I go to the food garage like I did last night. I went to the food garage, I had all these options. I went in knowing, hey, I probably shouldn't get the chicken fingers with the fries and the ranch dressings drizzled all over the top because I didn't eat like the most leanest breakfast. So I already knew like how my macros looked on paper. So that probably wasn't the best choice. I did choose fries, but I chose the Greek fries. So a little bit more within my macros. It was a deliberate choice. I could have just went in there blind and just been like, emotionally, I just really want those chicken fingers. you know? And sure, that would have been a choice, but I probably wouldn't have felt the best about that choice afterwards. So deliberately. And even if I went in there and said, I am going to still eat those chicken fingers, again, that was a deliberate choice that I made for myself and my body, right? So I'm going to feel more confident, and I shouldn't feel bad about making a deliberate choice to eat chicken fingers. Yeah? Owning your food choices and moving on. Again, making deliberate choices, owning them, saying, yes, I chose not to even be close to my macros. I ate out 3 times a day, had 2 coffees, had alcohol, and guess what? I owned every single one of those choices, and guess what? Tomorrow I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna just go back to normal. I owned it. I didn't say, oh my gosh, look at what you did, Courtney. We need to get on the treadmill and we need to run it off. Just fun. Like that. We need to run and now I'm gonna put on 15 pounds. No, don't do that crap. Less shame. Less shame around the choices you make and what you're eating. Okay? Just do it and move on. How to hit your macros. It requires time, right? Don't be like, I need to nail my macros tomorrow if I'm gonna start tracking. It's gonna take some time for you to get used to it, for you to learn it, for you to work it into your life on a regular basis. Practice, patience, planning, allowing yourself to include things you enjoy. Make sure you add some variety. Don't just eat the same boring meals and you're like, woe is me, I hate my life, because you're choosing to eat those meals. You can switch it up. Even if it doesn't work in your macros the first time around, just switch it up. Again, they're boundaries, not restrictions on those numbers. Consistently showing up, you won't be perfect, right? Like I said at the last one, if you feel like you're not doing it well enough, just keep showing up. That's exactly what that last slide was. Just keep trying, just keep doing, and you'll get it, okay? Planning your meals ahead of time. So this is where we kind of go into the planning. Plan your meals ahead of time. I kept Asia's name in there. I don't meal plan, or I don't meal prep. Asia is a full meal prepper. She is my nutrition coach, or not mine, she is my co-coach. So if you work with one of us, it would be me or her. But she does full meal prep, 7 days, 3 meals. No excuses. I don't do that. Copy and paste your meals. If you are tracking, take your breakfast. Copy it for the next 7 days. Automate that meal. And then you have to make one less choice. Then you can have more play in your lunches or more play in your dinners. For me, I automate breakfast. It's the same pretty much all week. I might change it the next week. I might not. Who knows? See how I feel. Lunch is usually the same half the week, and then the next half of the week is same, but a different meal, same for the rest of the week. Lunch, or dinner, is the only meal that I don't usually know what I'm about to eat. I just pick and choose based off of the family, okay? And I build it up and try to make it fit my macros as best as possible, okay? Use barcode scanner. I forgot my food scale to show you, but I can take a few minutes to show you the app if you want to know how to actually use a macro tracking app. But there is a barcode scanner to scan food labels, and it usually does a pretty good job with auto-populating everything, and you just have to pick your serving size, okay? These are a list of macro-friendly food recipe websites that I like. These last 2 are vegetarian or vegan, so those are from Asia. Oh, Asia is also a vegan, so if you ever need help with that, I can get you in contact with her. She's amazing. If you ever just have a question. I'm not vegan, you can ask me. I'll try to help you, but if I don't know, then I'll ask her. I'm gonna skip that line. When you're in the kitchen, I said this for prepping last time, double the recipe so you have extra, cut up your fruits and vegetables, try to do something that's gonna benefit your future self, right? And then eat similar meals throughout the week, I already said that. Okay, we're coming to the end. How to pre-log, yeah, I guess I can talk about this. If you are tracking, you are tracking currently. Like I just said, take your breakfast, if you already know you're gonna eat it tomorrow, copy it for the rest of the week. That's called pre-logging. You've already done it. So you can already see what things look like in the future. I'm not gonna go in depth on here because I don't wanna like waste all of my time. I wanna give some time for questions, but look in the future and see what you have going on so you can make the best decision instead of in the moment, like, well, I'm so hungry, what do I eat? What do I eat? And then you're like trying to throw some stuff together and it never works and then you're mad. Okay, so if you already know kind of what the future is gonna look like after you've logged your breakfast and your lunch, well then dinner's gonna be pretty easy. And all you can do is just go in there, if like, let's say you changed the quantity of oatmeal that you ate, you could just go in there and change it. You don't have to sit there and log it, and every single time you're sitting down to eat, you're like, you know what I mean? Like that's not even fun. Log that stuff in the future, or in the past for the future, and then you can just sit down and enjoy your meal as a meal. Okay? I think I'm gonna save this for next time. Yeah. I want to quickly talk about the food label. So I already talked about this slide with the actual food label in itself. If you need a refresher, I sent the email with the recording. But what I want to talk about is the FDA allows for a 20% margin of error. So let's take a 100-calorie snack. I literally just covered this with the alcohol, so I won't like stay on here for very long. But with a 100-calorie snack, a lot of people will be like, well, 100-calorie snack, like that's perfect. It'll give me a snack and I don't really waste that many calories. Well, what it doesn't tell you is a lot of times, let's say this was the 100-calorie snack, so ignore that, let's say it's 100 calories. I have had 100-calorie candies where it's 44 grams of carbs. 44 times 4 is how much? It's 116. So if that says 100, well now we're already over, what the heck? So imagine if you're eating 10 of those, but you're thinking it's only 100 calories, and you're just loading up those extra calories and not even knowing. So that's what I mean, like I don't need you to sit there and like every single food label be like this, but you just need to be knowledgeable that you're not picking a snack because it's 100 calories. You're not picking this because the calories are low. You're not picking this because it says it's high protein on the label, right? They like to do marketing. They mark those groceries up in the grocery store that say high protein, non-GMO, this and that, okay? High protein, this could be a high protein bread. The other bread that's sitting next to it that doesn't say high protein could be like the literal same. So look at those generic ones. Save yourself some money in the grocery store. No shame on people that like to eat non-GMO, but GMOs are to help genetically modified organisms in your food, right? Is to help with crop loss. Use fewer pesticides. More nutritious foods. More nutritious soybeans, like they put more nutrients in them. Fortified milk, fortified cereals. That's what GMOs are, okay? Reduce harmful chemicals. They don't have to use as many chemicals. There's less allergens in some of those foods. So that's what GMOs mean. The food marketing people like to use this to scare people to paying more for a non-GMO item. Again, there is no shame. If you want to eat non-GMO, that's fine. I just think that people need to be more knowledgeable as to why things are put on labels, put on the front of packaging, so that way you're paying 50 cents more per item, so they get more money. Same thing with organic. Again, no shade on organic, but I don't buy anything organic unless they don't have the regular, okay? Even the dirty doesn't. Just wash your fruits and vegetables, okay? For organic, they just use different pesticides. It's not that they don't use any pesticides, they're just different, okay? Again, the more knowledge you have, the better, or the more, I don't know what I'm trying to say. You can just be more aware of your decisions and be more in control of what choices you want to make, okay? So, you will get the best results if you're the most consistent and as accurate as possible. You will get the fastest and best results that way. Again, not the only way, but it's just the fastest. It's up to you. You don't have to own You have to own what it is going to take. I don't know what I said. Anyway, we're gonna skip that sentence. And a little flexibility long term is going to be the healthiest psychologically. Again, that comes from the intuitive side. So if you're gonna track macros, just give yourself a little bit of grace and things like that when making decisions in terms of your foods, okay? Don't be so strict that you make yourself go insane and you never want to track ever again, because I have done that. It is the most uncomfortable feeling when you want to lose weight and you have a lot of barriers around tracking macros because you were so restrictive that it messed you up. Take it from me, you don't want that, okay? So let's do some questions. You're good. I was gonna like go over that, but I think I might save it.
So how do you know where to start? What's like, how do you know your calorie person? Like,
So,
we're all different, so like,
right.
how do you?
So there are calorie calculators online. You could, of course, ask someone like me that can calculate them for you. But I think it's a good place to start to use the calorie calculators instead of just like straight up paying somebody. But I think it's literally called calorie calculator, and you can put in like your weight loss, how fast, which again, I don't suggest going fast because you'll lose a lot of muscle doing that. So choose the slower option, but it should give you your macros on there as well. So you'll click a calorie calculator. You could literally just type it into Google. I'm sure it's the first one that comes up. I'll include it in the email when I send this out later today, the link to the one that I use, if I'm gonna show somebody that. But it should give you similar macros to what I would give you. It might be a little bit different because I would know more of your activity level and stuff like that, whereas it's just a generated online thing, not a person to be like, oh, well, that person is not as active in like this area, so we would probably want to adjust it like this type of thing. But I think it's a good place to start. It's a good place to start. If it's giving you like 180 grams of protein and right now you eat 80, it's probably not a good idea. So just lower the calories to an area that you would like to be. So if you're already eating 80 grams of protein, 100 grams would be a good goal. You could maybe go for like 200 carbs is usually a pretty gold standard wise for most people around that area. And then you can anywhere between like 65 and 80 grams of fat is pretty standard for most people. Again, in terms of like makeups, again, everybody's different, so don't just take those numbers and run, but that's like a good standardized place to start. And then you can adjust your calories. So if you need more calories, add some either more protein, more fats, or more carbs somewhere in that realm. Does that make any sense? Okay.
And does all fats have to be, what you call them, hyper
No.
Or you want like good fats too, like
Yeah.
avocados, lemons.
Yes.
Or
I think you should have a good mixture, because I think if everybody says that I can only have good fats, well then it's not always the most enjoyable, right? So like sometimes if I'm low on fats, I eat a freaking Reese cup. Man, oh, so good. And it makes me happy. And look, I hit my fats. I think it's just all in moderation. And I think moderation is a buzzword that people just like to use, like, be intuitive. No, I mean like, don't be eating 12 Reese cups to hit your fat goal, okay?
Yeah.
Eat one, okay? And then like, of course, the majority of our foods majority of our nutrients need to come from whole foods. But I think having those other hyperpalatable foods in play helps with the enjoyment of eating, because again, food is emotional. Sometimes food just needs to be food and we need to leave it at that, and it shouldn't be like anything more than that. But a lot of times, everything that we do revolves around food. Our life, our memories, everything revolves around food. So make sure that you are keeping that in mind when you're making choices and when you're talking about food, okay? And how you talk about it, just like how do I talk about myself? It has a big play in how you view food and how you view your body and everything like that, okay? So both need to be in there.
So more on fats, are you trying to like deliberately or consciously look at how many trans fats, saturated fats
I don't.
you're putting in your body? Or you
I
just
don't.
kind of-
If you are eating whole foods and a lot of your fats come from whole foods and only some of your fats come from your hyperpalatable foods, then you'll be fine. Like, if your doctor is saying you have a lot of trans fat and you need to like do something, then I would, but that's a little rock. Remember the big boulders, little rocks? That's like a pebble, like way down there, all the way at the end. So you don't have to worry about those if you're eating a good amount of like whole foods, like avocados, and that's like one of the only ones I can think of right now. Beans, like anything with some sort of fat content in it, cheese, dairy. I wouldn't say all of your fat needs to come from dairy or like one source, because that's when you start to get in trouble where you're just eating maybe too many trans fats, too many. You want your things to all come from different sources. You don't want all your protein to only come from chicken. You don't want all your fiber to only come from greens. You don't want all of your fats to only come from whatever I just said, dairy, okay? They have to mix it up.
Trying to get a mix of those.
Mhm. But if 1 week that's what it looks like, that's fine. Just make sure week to week it kind of looks a little bit different. Maybe you only make one adjustment, like maybe you like to eat very, very much the same week to week, and 1 week instead of kale, I choose bok choy. Just to like switch it up. It's still green, it's still like something similar. I know a lot of people don't like change, so don't feel like every single meal has to be some like extravagant, I'm really thinking of a new recipe, or I'm like putting to, sometimes food just needs to be food. Okay? Just switch it up by switching one little thing out. That's only one decision you had to make, and it'll help with your mental capacity, because we got a lot going on out here with our jobs, our relationships, our worldly whatever's going, literally there's a lot going on. So maybe taking one less decision off of your plate as to like, how do I switch up this entire meal is probably best. Okay? Any other questions? These are good questions.
You talked a little bit about hyperpalatable foods and like cravings and things like that.
Mhm.
Where I've also heard that people talk about how like if you get a craving for certain things, sometimes that's a way that your body's trying to tell you that you're malnourished in something or lacking something in your body.
Yeah.
But I just wanted brownies for like the last month, and I'm like, I don't think that's it.
I
So,
mean,
is
so
there a way to
what
kind of
that could be
figure
is,
out-
if you have been eating not a lot of like sugary things,
Mhm.
like let's say you've been eating really low carb. If you've been eating a lot of lower carbs than what you normally would eat, like right now I'm in a deficit and I am eating lower carb. For what my normal, like what my maintenance is, not low carb. I don't eat low carb. I would die. But your body could be saying, hey, like, dude, we need some carbs. Like, I am feeling real like low energy, because all your energy comes from carbs, right? Not all of it, but most of it. Or if you just haven't been getting a lot of sugar, not that sugar is like, we need copious amounts of sugar, but again, I'm just talking about you and you personally. If you're not getting a lot of those things, your body could be like, hey, we kind of like want something sweet, you know what I mean? Like, doesn't that sound really good? Oh my gosh, a brownie would be a great idea to like give me a nice little like sweet treat and give me a boost of energy in terms of my carbs and sugar. Usually if we're not eating enough, we've been in a deficit for a really long time, you get a lot of sugar cravings. A lot.
So have you eaten a brownie or not?
No.
I say-
half inch. brownie.
Okay,
I'm like,
but
that's-
that's a good segue.
32
If
pounds
you-
of that, no.
That's a good segue though, but if you are craving a cheeseburger and you eat crackers, you eat a salad, you eat a piece of chicken and like a piece of salmon or literally a million other things, and then you're like, dang, I still need a cheeseburger. And then you go eat the cheeseburger, how many more calories did you just consume if you would have just eaten the cheeseburger and been done? Same thing with the brownie. I'm gonna eat like one piece of candy. Oh, I guess just one more piece. Oh, just one more piece. Oh, okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and eat the dang brownie. And now I've just consumed like 200-300 more calories in chocolate when I could have just eaten the brownie and been fine. So sometimes if If I have a craving that lasts more than 2 days, my butt is gonna eat it. If I am in a deficit. If I am not in a deficit, I'm probably gonna like think on it, go through my little checklist with intuitive eating. Am I mind hungry? Am I actually hungry? Is this a decision that I want to make? Do I want to eat this brownie? If the answers are yes, then I'm eating the brownie. Like there's a lot of times where there's the coffee shop down here that have like great blondies. I love me a brownie in the morning pastry. I will not act on it, and like I'll be driving past and like, brownie sounds good. I won't act on it. I'll go work and I'll say, okay, if at 2 o'clock I'm still thinking about this brownie, I'm probably gonna go get it. Okay, so just kind of pause. When you're having cravings, pause. Give yourself a little time to really think on if you really want it. And if you do, then go ahead and act on it. It's better than just trying to wait it out and you still crave it and you've eaten 700 other calories and then you're gonna eat it anyway. Okay? Any other questions? How was it? Good? Okay. Very nice. Very nice.